The lights in the archives of galactic history dimmed as the workday ended. Most workers left, but Jun stayed. His eyes were tired from looking at screens all day, but he could not stop now. Just one more hour, he told himself. The archives were huge. They took up most of a mountain on planet Sulphura. Inside were records of every known species in the galaxy. All their history, all their knowledge, stored in one place. Jun had worked here for 8 years. His job was simple. Take old records and put them in the new system. It was boring work most days, but not today. Today, Jun found something strange. He was working with very old files from 4,000 years ago. These were records from the early days when different species first met each other in space. He found many mentions of a species called humans from a planet called Earth. Jun frowned. He knew every species in the official records. He had to for his job, but he had never heard of humans. He searched the main database. Nothing. No humans. No Earth. According to all official records, humans never existed. But here they were in these old files. The files talked about humans joining the galactic community. They had faster-than-light ships. They had colonies on many planets. They traded with other species. They were real. Jun's heart beat faster. Either the old files were wrong, or the official records were wrong. Both could not be true. He copied the files about humans to his personal device, just to be safe. The next morning, Jun showed his findings to his boss, Archivist Hana. She was tall with gray-haired, tied back tightly. Her face showed no emotion as she looked at his screen. "This is just a mistake," she said. "Old records have errors. That's why we check and fix them." "But there are too many mentions," Jun said. "Look at this trade agreement, and this star map with Earth marked. And these pictures." Hannah cut him off. "Enough. These are clearly fictional references, perhaps from an old story that got mixed with historical records. But delete these references," she ordered. "They do not match official records. That's your job, Archivist Jun, to fix mistakes." Jun nodded, but inside he felt strange. Why was she so quick to dismiss this? Why not investigate? That night, Jun could not sleep. He kept thinking about the humans. He got up and looked at the files he had saved. He studied the pictures closely. Humans looked like many species in the galaxy, but with some differences. No scales, no fur, just skin. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Simple bodies, but their eyes seemed full of intelligence and curiosity. The next day, Jun pretended to delete the human references as ordered, but he kept searching in his free time. He found more. Each time, the references were in old, uncatalogued sections of the archives, as if someone had tried to remove humans from the main records but missed some places. After work, Jun went deep into the oldest section of the archives. This area held physical items, not just data. Most archivists never came here. The air smelled old and dusty. In a small box marked unidentified cultural artifacts, Jun found something that made his hands shake. A small, flat device with a cracked screen. On the back was a symbol, an apple with a bite taken out. When he carefully turned it on, strange words appeared that matched the language in the human files. This was not fiction. This was real. Humans had existed. Jun was sure now. But who had erased them from history, and why? Jun put the device in his pocket. He needed to learn more, no matter the risk. The truth about humans was out there, and he would find it. For weeks, Jun came to work early and left late. He moved through the archives like a ghost, searching for more traces of humans. He found them in forgotten corners of the database, in old mission reports, in star maps that no one had looked at for centuries. One night, when the archives were empty, Jun discovered something big. He found a sealed file about a war that happened 4,000 years ago. The file was locked with high security. It took him hours to open it. Inside was a report about the human conflict that mentioned Earth being attacked. Why would someone hide this? Jun whispered to himself. The next day, Hannah watched Jun closely. She seemed to know he was still looking for human records. When she walked by his desk, he quickly changed his screen. Still interested in those mistakes, she asked with cold eyes. No, Jun lied. I deleted them all. Hannah did not believe him. After work, come to my office. All day, Jun felt sick with worry. When evening came, he went to Hannah's office, a small room with no windows. Sit down, she said. She showed him a report on her screen. The system records everything you search for. You've been looking for humans every day. Jun said nothing. This must stop, she continued. I've contacted the Galactic Historical Accuracy Committee. They're sending someone to speak with you tomorrow. Jun knew what that meant. The committee had the power to ban people from all archives in the galaxy. Worse, they could erase a person's professional history, making it impossible to find work. Hannah leaned forward. One last chance. Stop this search and delete everything you found. Jun stood up. In that moment, he made a big decision. I quit, he said. Hannah looked shocked. You're throwing away your career for nothing. Not nothing, Jun said. For the truth. He walked out of her office. His hand shook as he packed his things. He knew he had little time before the committee arrived. He quickly copied all his findings about humans to a small data device and left the archives for the last time. That night, Jun contacted his old friend Ta. They had studied together at university before Ta became a xenorchaeologist, someone who digs up artifacts from alien cultures. They met at a small food place far from the archives. Ta looked the same as Jun remembered, short with bright eyes and always moving hands. You look terrible, Ta said when he saw Jun. I need your help, Jun said. He told Ta everything about the humans and showed him the files he had saved. Ta looked at them for a long time. If this is real, Ta said finally, it's the biggest cover-up in galactic history. It is real, Jun said. He took out the small device with the apple symbol. And I have proof. Ta carefully examined the device. This is definitely not from any known species. He looked up at Jun with wide eyes. We need to find more evidence. Something so big no one can deny it. How? Jun asked. The committee will be looking for me by now. Ta smiled. I know a place, an old mining colony where they found strange artifacts 100 years ago. The report was buried, but I saw it. The artifacts might be human. Is it far? Jun asked. Very far, on the edge of explored space. Jun thought about his comfortable life at the archives, the job he had worked hard for, the security he had lost. But then he thought about the humans who had been erased from history. When do we leave? He asked. Tomorrow, Ta said. I have a small ship. It's not much, but it will get us there. Jun nodded. There was no going back now. He was a truth seeker, and the truth about humans was calling to him from across the stars. The trip to asteroid YK-427 took 12 days. Ta's ship was small and old, but it got them there. The asteroid hung in space like a dark rock, spinning slowly. No one has lived here for over 200 years, Ta said as they approached. The mining company left when they ran out of valuable minerals. Jun looked at the asteroid through the window. How will we find anything in that big rock? I have the old report coordinates, Ta said. The strange artifacts were found in Section 7, deep inside the main mine. They landed near an old airlock. The ship computer checked the air inside the asteroid. It was thin but breathable. Ta and Jun put on light breathing masks just to be safe. Stay close, Ta said as they entered the dark tunnel. The old systems might still work. He was right. As they walked deeper, motion sensors detected them, and lights flickered on. The tunnel walls were rough and carved from rock. Old mining equipment lay abandoned, covered in dust. They followed Ta's map through many tunnels. Some were blocked by cave-ins, forcing them to find new paths. After hours of walking, They reached a large metal door marked Section 7. "This is it," Ta said, trying to open the door. It was locked. "Help me with this." Together they pushed and pulled at the old door. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the tunnel. "Security system," Ta shouted. "It's still active." The door opened by itself, and they ran inside, closing it behind them. They were in a large cave with metal walls added by the miners. The room was filled with tables and strange equipment. "Look at this," Jum said, pointing to symbols on the wall. "These match the language on the human device I found." They moved deeper into the room. In the center was a sealed glass case. Inside was a metal box with a red cross symbol. According to the report, this was where they found artifacts they couldn't identify, Ta said. June looked closely at the box. "We need to open that case." As Tai worked on the lock, June explored the room. He found old data terminals and tried to activate them. One came to life, showing strange symbols. "Ta, come look at this." The screen showed pictures of beings that looked like the humans from June's files. They wore white clothes with the same red cross symbol. "It's a medical facility," Ta said in wonder. "A human medical facility." The glass case finally opened. Inside, they found more than just the box. There was a data crystal, perfectly preserved. "This could have everything we need," Jun said, carefully taking the crystal. Suddenly, the door burst open. A person in a black uniform stood there, pointing a weapon at them. "Stop right there," the officer commanded. "I am Jeho of the Galactic Enforcement. You are trespassing on a restricted site." Tai raised his hands. "We're researchers. We have permission." "Lies," Jeho said. "This site has been off-limits for decades. Hand over what you found." June slowly held out the data crystal. Jeho took it and examined the room. "Human artifacts," the officer said quietly. June and Ta looked at each other in surprise. "You know about humans?" June asked. Jeho's face showed conflict. "I know enough. Enough to know that what you're doing is dangerous." The officer put the crystal in a pocket. "You're both under arrest." As Jeho led them back through the tunnels, Jun whispered to Ta. The officer said, "Human artifacts. Not alleged or fictional. Jeho knows they're real." Ta nodded slightly. "Maybe we found more than just artifacts today." When they reached the surface, Jeho looked around to make sure they were alone. Then the officer did something unexpected. "Here," Jeho said, handing June a small device. "I copied the data from the crystal. Take it and go. Quickly, before my ship reports in." "Why are you helping us?" June asked. Jeho looked troubled. "Because the truth matters. Now go, before I change my mind." As they flew away from the asteroid, June looked at the copied data. The truth about humans was getting closer. And now, they had an ally in an unexpected place. 3 days after leaving the asteroid, June and Ta met Jeho at a small space station. They sat in a dark corner of a busy food place where no one would notice them. "Why did you help us?" June asked the officer. Jeho looked around to make sure no one was listening. "My grandmother was a data keeper for the Galactic Council. Before she died, she told me strange things. She said our history was changed, that a whole species was removed from the records." "Humans," Ta said. Jeho nodded. "She never said the name. It was forbidden. But she left me a box of old things. Inside was a book with pictures of beings that match what you found." "Did she say why they were erased?" June asked. "Only that it was the biggest lie ever told." They went to Ta's ship to look at the data crystal. Jeho brought a special reader that could open the old files. The first images made them gasp. They showed humans standing with other alien species. In one picture, a human and Excelthoran were shaking hands in front of a large ship. "This proves humans were real and worked with other species," Ta said. The crystal held thousands of files. Medical records, maps of human colonies, trade agreements, and personal logs. They spent hours reading. "Look at this," Jun said, pointing to a file labeled Emergency Protocol. The file told of a growing conflict. The Galactic Council of that time was afraid of humans. Humans were spreading too fast, learning too quickly, making too many friends with other species. The Council saw them as a threat. The Council planned to attack Earth. Jai-Ho read aloud, "To make humans an example to any who would defy Council rule." More files revealed the terrible truth. There had been a war. The Council had attacked not just Earth, but all human colonies. Billions had died. The few humans who survived went into hiding. Then came the most shocking part. The Council erased all records of humans. They threatened any species that spoke of humans with the same fate. Within a few generations, humans became a myth, then nothing at all. "This is bigger than we imagined," Ta said, his voice shaking. "Not just changing a few records, but erasing an entire species from history." "Is the current council the same?" Jun wondered. Jai-Ho shook her head. "The structure has changed, but the power remains. If they learn what we know—" A loud bang interrupted her. The ship shook. "Someone's trying to break in," Ta shouted. They ran to the window. Outside were 3 people in black uniforms, not galactic enforcement but something else. They carried weapons and wore masks. "Government agents," Jai-Ho said. "We've been found." "How?" Jun asked. "The data crystal must have been tracked," Jai-Ho said. "We need to leave now." Ta started the ship's engines. The agents outside began cutting through the airlock door. "They'll follow us," Ta said. Jai-Ho ran to the ship's communication system. "I'll send a false report that we're heading to the outer rim. It might give us time." The ship lifted off just as the agents broke through. Laser fire hit the side of the ship, but Ta flew them away from the station and jumped to light speed. When they were safe, Jun looked at the data crystal again. "There's a star map here with marked locations. Hidden places. What if some humans survived? What if they're still out there?" Jai-Ho and Ta looked at the map. One location was marked with a special symbol. "That's in the dead zone," Jai-Ho said, "a region of space considered uninhabitable." "The perfect place to hide," Jun said. "If humans still exist, that's where we'll find them." They set course for the dead zone, not knowing that across the galaxy, powerful people were now hunting them. People who had kept the secret of humanity buried for 4,000 years and would kill to keep it that way. The dead zone was a dark part of space. No planets with life. No space stations. No ships passed through here. The star map led them to a small frozen planet that didn't even have a name, just a number, DZ-42. "There's nothing here," Ta said as they orbited the ice world. "The surface is -200 degrees. Nothing could live there. The map says to go to these coordinates." Jun pointed to the screen. Jai-Ho scanned the area. "There's something strange. A heat source deep under the ice." They landed near the heat reading. Outside was a frozen wasteland. Wind blew ice crystals that cut like tiny knives. They wore their thickest suits as they left the ship. "The signal is coming from that ridge," Jai-Ho said, pointing to a wall of ice ahead. They walked for an hour, fighting against the wind. When they reached the ridge, they found nothing but more ice. "This can't be right," Jun said, checking the map again. Tay touched the ice wall. "Wait, this isn't natural." He brushed away snow to reveal a metal panel hidden under the ice. This was made by someone. Jai-Ho helped clear more snow. They found a door with a small screen next to it. The screen was dark. "It needs power," Ta said. Jun took out the human device with the apple symbol. "Maybe this is more than just proof. Maybe it's a key." He placed the device against the screen. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen lit up with the same symbols they had seen on the data crystal. The door slowly opened. Warm air rushed out. Inside was a long tunnel leading down into the planet. Lights turned on automatically as they entered. Someone's been keeping this place running for a very long time, Jaiho said. At the end of the tunnel was another door. This one opened as they approached. Beyond it was a huge chamber carved into the rock beneath the ice. The walls were lined with thousands of containers, each the size of a person. A soft blue light came from each one. "What are they?" June whispered. "Sleep pods," Ta said in awe. "Thousands of them." They walked between rows of the glowing containers. Inside each was a human, sleeping peacefully. "They're alive," Jaiho said, touching the glass of one pod. "In some kind of suspended sleep." In the center of the chamber was a raised platform with a control panel. As they approached, a light appeared above it. The light took the shape of a person. "Welcome," the light figure said. "I am Sung, caretaker of this facility. You have activated emergency protocol access. Please identify yourselves." They were too shocked to speak at first. Finally, Jun stepped forward. "I am Jun. These are my friends, Tai and Jiho. We found evidence that humans existed. We followed a map here." Sung studied them. "You are not human. Why do you seek them?" "To learn the truth," Jun said. "To understand why they were erased from history." Sung was quiet for a moment. "It has been 4,000 years since the facility was sealed. Are humans still considered enemies of the galaxy?" "No," Jun said. "Most species don't even know humans ever existed." "Then the Council succeeded in their plan," Sung said sadly. "They destroyed our worlds and then destroyed our very memory." "What happened?" Tai asked. "War," Sung said. "Humans were spreading throughout the galaxy, making allies, sharing technology. The Council feared our independence. They demanded we submit to their rule. When we refused, they attacked." "And these people?" Jaiho asked, looking at the sleep pods. "The last survivors. 10,000 humans preserved until it would be safe to awaken them." June looked at the thousands of sleeping people. "Are there other facilities like this?" "Yes," Sung said. 7 in total, hidden across the galaxy, each holding the last of humanity, waiting for the day they could return. "Why not wake them now?" Jaiho asked. "That decision belongs to the facility director," Sung said. "I can wake her, if you wish." They looked at each other. This was bigger than they had imagined. They were about to change the course of galactic history. "Wake her," Jun said. A single pod near the control platform began to glow brighter. The blue light turned white. A soft hissing sound filled the air as the pod opened. Inside was a woman with gray hair. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked confused at first, then alert as she saw the 3 strangers. "Non-humans," she said in a rough voice. "Interesting. Sung, report." The light figure of Sung appeared beside her. "Director Min, these visitors found our facility using one of our emergency maps. They claim humans are no longer known to exist in galactic records." Min sat up carefully. "Help me stand." Jun stepped forward and offered his hand. Min took it and slowly got to her feet. She was shorter than all of them, but something in her eyes made her seem tall. "How long?" she asked Sung. 4,023 years, 7 months, 14 days since lockdown," Sung replied. Min closed her eyes briefly, longer than we planned. She walked unsteadily to the control panel and touched it. Screens appeared in the air, showing data only she could understand. "You," she said, pointing to Jun. "Tell me how you found us." Jun explained everything. The records in the archives, the device with the apple symbol, the data crystal from the asteroid, the map that led them here. Min listened without speaking. When he finished, she looked at the sleeping humans all around them. "So they succeeded," she said quietly. "They erased us entirely." "Who are you?" Tai asked. "Why were humans attacked?" Min turned to face them. "I am Dr. Min, Director of Emergency Preservation Site 3. As for why humans were attacked, she sighed. Because we were different. She touched the control panel again. A large screen appeared, showing images of human history. Humans evolved on a harsh world. We had to adapt quickly to survive. When we joined the galactic community, we continued to adapt, to learn, to change. Most species take thousands of years to develop new technology. We did it in decades. The screen showed humans building ships, working with aliens, exploring new worlds. The Council feared our speed, Min continued. We made allies too quickly. We spread too far. When the Council demanded we slow down, limit our colonies, share all our technology for their control, we refused. So they attacked, Jaiho said. Min nodded. A surprise attack. Earth was destroyed first. Then our colonies, one by one. Those who survived went into hiding or came to facilities like this one. Why not fight back? Tai asked. We did, Min said, but we were outnumbered. So we made a different plan. We would wait, sleep until enough time had passed for the hatred to fade. Then we would return. But you weren't just sleeping, Jun realized. You were hidden. Even the memory of humans was erased. That was not part of our plan, Min said with anger in her voice. The Council must have decided that erasing us completely was safer than admitting what they had done. She looked at the three friends. You took a great risk coming here. The Council must still have watchers, guardians of their secret. They do, Jaiho said. They're hunting us now. Min thought for a moment. Then we must act quickly. She turned to Sung. Begin revival of the command staff, and activate the quantum network. What's the quantum network? Jun asked. Our insurance policy, Min said. A way to connect all 7 preservation sites. If humans still sleep in the other sites, we can wake them all. Sung glowed brightly. Network signal sent. Awaiting response. Around them, more pods began to glow as they started to open. Humans were waking up, looking around in confusion. Help me explain to them, Min said to Jun and his friends. They need to know what world they're waking up to. As more humans awoke, Min looked at a screen showing a map of the galaxy. 6 signals received, Sung announced. All preservation sites are responding. Min smiled for the first time. Then we are not alone. Humanity survives. What will you do now? Tai asked. First, we gather, Min said. Then, we reveal the truth to a galaxy that has forgotten us. For 3 days, more humans woke up. The once quiet facility was now full of activity. Humans talked with each other, checked systems, and made plans. Jun, Tai, and Jaiho helped where they could, explaining what the galaxy was like now. Min took them to a special room deep in the facility. Inside was a large round table with strange devices built into it. This is our quantum communication center, Min explained. It can connect to the other 6 preservation sites instantly, no matter how far away they are. She activated the system. 6 holograms appeared around the table. Each showed a human from another site. Director Min, said one of the holograms, an old man with dark skin. Site 1 is active. 2,000 humans awake. Site 2 reporting. Said another, a woman with short hair. All systems functional. Revival in progress. One by one, all 6 sites reported in. Across the galaxy, over 15,000 humans were waking up from their long sleep. Begin Phase 2, Min ordered. Activate all emergency technology reserves. Jun looked confused. What technology reserves? Min smiled. Before the war, humans were leaders in many fields. We didn't bring just people to these sites. We brought our best technology too. In another part of the facility, they watched as large doors opened to reveal a massive underground hangar. Inside were ships unlike any Jun had ever seen, sleek, silver, and powerful. These are advanced even by today's standards, Ta said in amazement. Humans were always good at building things, Min said, especially when we needed to survive. Meanwhile, at the Central Galactic Council station, alarms were sounding. A monitoring officer named Yoon stared at his screen in confusion. "Sir," he called to his supervisor, "I'm picking up strange energy signatures from the dead zone, and similar signals from 6 other locations across the galaxy." The supervisor looked worried. "What kind of signals?" "Unknown technology," Yoon said. "But they're communicating with each other, using some kind of network we can't access." The supervisor made a quick call. Minutes later, 3 people in black uniforms entered the room. They were the same kind of agents who had attacked Yoon's ship. "Show us these signals," one agent ordered. Yoon pointed to his screen. "They appeared 3 days ago. All 7 activated at almost the same time." The agents looked at each other with concern. "Shut down your equipment," one said. "Forget what you saw." "But standard protocol says." Yoon began. "This is above standard protocol." The agent cut him off. "This is a special security matter." After the agents left, Yoon copied the signal data to his personal device. Something wasn't right. He had worked in monitoring for 10 years and had never seen agents react like that to any signal. When his shift ended, instead of going home, Yoon went to the old archives. He wanted to search for any record of similar signals in the past. The archives were mostly empty. Yoon used his security clearance to access the deep database. He searched for the unusual energy pattern. Nothing came up in the main records, but then he tried the restricted section, where only high-level officials could go. His clearance shouldn't have been enough, but there was a glitch in the system. He got in. There he found a single file about a quantum network used by humans 4,000 years ago. "Humans?" Yoon whispered to himself. "But they don't exist." As he read more, his hands began to shake. The file talked about humans as a real species that was destroyed in a war with the Council. It mentioned a plan to hide any survivors and erase all records of human existence. The last line of the file said, "If the quantum network ever activates again, immediate action must be taken." The return of humans would reveal the great lie. Yoon copied the file and quickly left the archives. He needed to find out more about these humans, and he knew where to start looking. The dead zone, where the strongest signal was coming from. As his ship left the station, Yoon didn't notice the black-uniformed agents watching him go. They had been tracking him since he copied the signal data. "Follow him," one agent said to the others. "He'll lead us to them." Yoon's ship entered orbit around the frozen planet DZ-42. His scanners showed the heat source under the ice, just as the files had indicated. As he prepared to land, his ship detected another vessel approaching fast. "Government ship," the computer warned. "Weapons active." Yoon knew he had been followed. He sent an emergency signal toward the heat source, hoping someone would receive it. "Attention," came a voice from the government ship. "Return to Council space immediately. This is your only warning." Yoon's ship shook as the government vessel fired a warning shot. He had seconds to decide. "I need to land," he said to himself, pushing his ship toward the planet's surface. The government ship fired again, hitting one of Yoon's engines. His ship spun out of control, heading straight for the ice. He braced for impact. Inside the human facility, alarms sounded. "2 ships in orbit," Sung announced. "One is under attack." Min looked at the sensor readings. The smaller ship sent an emergency signal. "It knows we're here." "It could be a trap," Jaiho warned. "Or someone who needs help," Jun said. "Like we did when we first came." Min made a quick decision. "Launch rescue team. Bring the pilot here if they survive." Outside, Yoon's ship crashed into the ice not far from the hidden entrance. He was hurt but alive. As he dragged himself from the wreckage, he saw the government ship landing nearby. Black uniformed agents stepped out, weapons ready. Suddenly, the ice opened. A silver ship rose from below and fired at the government vessel. The agents scattered as their ship exploded. The silver ship landed near Yoon. A door opened, and humans stepped out wearing white suits that protected them from the cold. "Are you Yoon?" one asked. Yoon nodded, shocked to see actual humans. "How do you know my name?" "We received your transmission. Come with us quickly." The humans helped Yoon into their ship. As they descended back into the facility, he saw the agents in the distance, shooting at them, but missing. Inside the facility, Yoon met Min, Jun, Tai, and Jiho. He showed them the files he had found. "The current council doesn't know the full truth," he explained. "Only these special agents know. They'd been hiding this secret for thousands of years." Min studied the files. "Does the general public know anything about this cover-up?" "Nothing," Yoon said. "If they knew what the council did to humans, and then lied about it for so long, there would be outrage," Tai finished. "The council's authority might collapse." Jun looked at Min. "So what do we do?" Min smiled. "We tell everyone. Right now." She led them to a large room filled with human technicians working on complex equipment. "This is our broadcast center," Min explained. "With our quantum technology, we can override every communication system in the galaxy simultaneously." "The entire galaxy?" Jiho asked in surprise. "Every screen, every communication device," Min confirmed. "For 10 minutes, they will see and hear only what we send." The humans worked quickly, preparing the broadcast. They combined the historical records, the data crystal information, and testimony from Min about what really happened. "We're ready," a technician told Min. Min looked at Jun. "You started this journey to find the truth. Would you like to help tell it?" Jun nodded. He stood beside Min in front of a camera. "Broadcast begins in 3, 2, 1. The technician counted down. Across the galaxy, on millions of planets, in billions of homes, on every screen and device, normal programs disappeared. Instead, everyone saw Jun and Min. "People of the galaxy," Jun began. "What you are about to learn will change everything you know about our history." Min stepped forward. "I am Dr. Min, a human from Earth. You have been told humans never existed. That is a lie." The broadcast showed images of human history, the war, the Council's attack, and the cover-up. 4,000 years ago," Min continued, "the Galactic Council tried to wipe out my species. Then they erased us from history, but we survived. And now, we have returned." In the Council's main chamber, officials watched in horror as their greatest secret was revealed to the entire galaxy. "Shut it down," one shouted. "We can't," another replied. "It's on every channel, every frequency." The truth about humans was finally out, and nothing would ever be the same again. The days after the broadcast were chaos. Protests broke out on thousands of worlds. People demanded answers from their leaders. The Galactic Council called emergency meetings. In some places, there was fear about the return of humans. In others, there was excitement. Everywhere, there was change. Jun watched it all from the human facility. News reports came in from across the galaxy. The council was falling apart. Some members resigned. Others called for a complete reform of the system. "I never thought it would cause this much trouble," Jun said to Min. "Truth often does," she replied, "especially when it replaces a lie that lasted for thousands of years." "What will happen now?" Tai asked. Min looked at a large screen showing representatives from different worlds gathering for an emergency meeting. "Now we talk. Now we find our place in this galaxy again." A week after the broadcast, a message came from the new Interim Galactic Assembly. They invited human representatives to speak at a special gathering of all species. "They want to hear our side directly," Min told the others. "This is our chance." Min asked Jum, Tai, Jiho, and Yoon to join her. They traveled on a human ship to the assembly station. It was the first time humans had openly visited the center of galactic politics in 4,000 years. The assembly hall was huge. Thousands of representatives from every known species sat in rising circles. In the center was a speaking platform. As Min and the others entered, The room went quiet. "Look how many came," Jaiho whispered. "The whole galaxy wants to hear this." The head of the assembly, an old Seltharan, spoke first. "We gather today to address the greatest revelation in our recorded history, the return of humans and the uncovering of a truth hidden for millennia." He turned to Min. "We wish to hear from you, not as enemies, but as a species returning to the galactic community." Min stepped forward. She looked around the silent hall. "I could speak to you of the wrongs done to humanity," she began, "of genocide and lies, of our near extinction. But that is the past." She touched a control on her wrist. Above the platform, images appeared. Humans working with other species, building things together, exploring space side by side. "This was our history before the war," Min continued. "Humans were not perfect. We moved too fast sometimes. We made mistakes. But we were part of this galaxy. We helped build the civilization you now enjoy." She looked at all the representatives watching her. "We do not return seeking revenge. We return seeking our place among the stars again, a place we earned 4,000 years ago, and are ready to earn again." There was silence when she finished. Then, slowly, one representative stood up, then another, and another. Soon, the entire hall was standing. The head of the assembly spoke. "We cannot undo what was done by our ancestors, but we can ensure it never happens again. Today, we formally acknowledge humanity as a member species of our galactic family." The hall erupted in sound as thousands of representatives cheered. Later, as they prepared to return to the human facility, Jun stood at a window looking out at the stars. "What will you do now?" he asked Min. "Humans are accepted again." "We have much work to do," she said. "Our people are still waking up. We need to build new homes, new ships, create a new place for ourselves." "And what about us?" Tai asked, meaning himself, Jun, Jaiho, and Yun. Min smiled. "You four did what no one else could. You found the truth when it was hidden. You faced danger to bring it to light. In human history, we would call you heroes." Jaiho shook her head. "We just wanted the truth." "And that's the most human thing about you," Min said. "The need to know, to discover, to uncover what is hidden. Perhaps that's why you found us when no one else could." Jun looked out at the vast galaxy spread before them. Somewhere out there were other human facilities, other survivors waking up to a new galaxy. The truth had come out. Humans existed, and now, a new chapter in galactic history was beginning. "So what happens now?" Yun asked. Min smiled. "Now, we write the next part of the story. Together."